at the white space, rule number 8. This is one of those rules that are very important, especially when you start. Because most people, when they start designing, they feel like they have to really fill the whole page. There's almost an anxiety that everything has to be full to work. And it's actually so far from true. The empty space, and we've seen it many times in these little design lectures, the empty space generally makes whatever is surrounding very precious. So if you have a white page with a black dot in a, not even in the middle, in whatever location, that black dot will look amazing, right? Will be the definitely the prima donna, and is all thanks to the white space, not because the black dot is anything special. So remember this idea that whenever you have this empty space or negative space, it will emphasize, will strengthen whatever is surrounding, whatever is, whatever is being carved. Like in this case, you see how this silhouette carves this white space, and because of it is so strong. Other example, right? The M stands out, and you can tell, or like this beautiful little fellow down here. It's important, but one of the reasons why it's so important is because of these gorgeous, striking diagonal line that are all generated by the negative space, by the white space. Same here, the silhouette, that knife looks so much more dangerous, and there's so much more tension because behind is snowy landscape, right? If there was this white was actually a color, we wouldn't feel as much drama, as much tension. I mean, all the 007 movies, they use this idea of the negative space and so well. And from the beginning of cinema, how much has been done with negative space. Scale down your graphic elements. By scaling down your imagery, type, graphics, etc., you can create some luxurious white space around your focal points while staying within the frame of your original graphic. For example, check out this recipe card design by Serafini Creative that scales down the central design to create a beautiful frame of white space around the design. Now, this whole old-fashioned could have been pushed to be much, much closer to the boundary, but this margin around the graphics makes it so gorgeous and precious. Remember when we talked about scale, and I was giving you the example of making your elements bigger, like you have a whale and you make it really big. That's a strategy, but another strategy that I always prefer is the idea of actually making your elements a bit smaller and adding negative space around it to make them more precious, more important to the viewer. And this is number 9, rule number 9, align your element. We talked about lines in the past, and I did mention alignments, and this is all focused on alignments. Now notice, remember when you're, for example, if you look at this element, what is it aligned with? Is aligned with this line, with a U, right? With the end of the U. If you look, all these elements are there for a reason. They're all aligned to something important. Same here, right? Whenever you have a magazine or something, have you ever noticed that the paragraph below tend to be aligned with a certain margin or the end of a picture? Or the alignments are really, really important. They generally make the magazine or the design, whatever you're looking at, kind of really everything seems like to belong there, to be in the right place. Here too, the fact that you kind of have, alignments even in this National Geographic magazine, where mainly is photography, but the frames are kind of like interacting with each other, really nicely because of alignments. And this is actually showing more like the idea of the rule of third in here. You guys remember we talked about the rule of third and how things are aligned to those intersections, to those focal points. A little bit more about alignments. Alignments, I think, a little bit harder to see if you're a beginner, but those are really important, and I will bring you more example in, I will post more example in Canvas. So those are the big rules that you really need to think about. Thank you.